Once upon a time in a small farmhouse, a curious 3-year-old boy sat beside his mother, watching a duck quietly resting on her eggs. With innocent wonder, he asked, "Mother, why is the duck sitting on them?" His mother smiled and said, "She's keeping them warm, my dear. Soon tiny ducklings will hatch." The little boy was amazed, his mind filled with questions. Later that day, when his mother went inside, he disappeared for a while. After searching anxiously, she finally found him sitting on a pile of hay, eggs carefully placed beneath him. The child wanted to see if he could hatch eggs too. Of course, all the eggs were broken, and his mother couldn't help but laugh. That small act of curiosity was the first glimpse of a mind that would one day change the world. That child's name was Thomas Alva Edison. Edison grew up in Michigan, in a humble home where money was scarce, but imagination was endless. He wasn't like other children. His hearing was weak, his head was large, and his teachers thought he was slow. After only 3 months of school, he was expelled. But his mother, a former teacher, saw something in him that others didn't. She told him, "You don't need a school, my son. The world will teach you everything." And so began Edison's real education, through curiosity, failure, and endless experimentation. As he grew older, his hunger to learn became unstoppable. At the age of 12, Edison worked on a train running between Port Huron and Detroit. He sold newspapers, candy, and fruits to passengers, but his restless mind was always chasing ideas. One day he thought, why sell someone else's newspaper when I can print my own? He built a small hand press right inside a train compartment and began publishing the Weekly Herald, the first newspaper ever printed on a moving train. His little newspaper earned attention, but disaster came soon. One spark set his printing press on fire, and the compartment burned down completely. Edison lost everything that day, but he didn't lose hope. He simply smiled and said, "At least I learned how fast fire spreads." That's who he was, a boy who turned every failure into a lesson. While working on trains, he often stared at the telegraph lines running beside the tracks. He would listen to the rhythmic clicking of the machines and wonder how messages could travel through invisible wires. If I can make a printing press, he thought, why not a telegraph machine? Then fate intervened. In 1862, a small boy was about to be hit by a train. Edison leapt forward and pulled him away just in time. The boy's father was a telegraph station master. Grateful for Edison's bravery, he offered him any reward he wanted. Edison asked for only one thing: "Teach me telegraphy." The man agreed. Within months, the young Edison became a skilled telegraph operator. He worked long nights, studied the machines closely, and dreamed of creating a better one. Every tick of the telegraph became a lesson, every mistake a discovery. After 7 years in the telegraph world, Edison had become a master of signals. But he was still poor. In 1869, with only a few dollars in his pocket and thousands of ideas in his mind, he quit his job and moved to New York City. In New York, he had no home and no savings, but he had something far more valuable: his imagination. Soon investors noticed his brilliance and funded his first invention. It was far ahead of its time, the world's first electric vote recorder. But politicians refused to use it. They didn't want fast voting results. Edison smiled and said, "I will never again invent anything that people don't want to buy." That one sentence changed his future. He turned back to telegraphy and began improving it. His inventions, like the automatic and multiplex telegraph, allowed multiple messages to be sent at once. For the first time, information could travel faster than ever before. Edison's name began to echo across America. At just 29, The boy who once sat on eggs had become a man of ideas and success. But Edison wanted more. In 1876, he built a laboratory in Menlo Park, New Jersey, a 34-acre kingdom of innovation. There he gathered the brightest minds in America and told them, "We will invent something every 10 days." The world soon began calling him the Wizard of Menlo Park. His first great invention there was the phonograph, a device that could record and replay sound. When Edison sang "Mary Had a Little Lamb" into it, America was spellbound. For the first time, people could hear a human voice replayed from a machine. The president and Congress invited him to demonstrate this miracle. The man who once struggled to hear had now made the world listen. But Edison's true dream was to bring light to every home. At that time, cities had electric arc lights that were too bright and hot for indoor use. Most homes still depended on oil and gas lamps. Edison promised the world, "I will make electricity so cheap that only the rich will burn candles." He and his team worked day and night to find the perfect filament for a light bulb. They tried paper, horsehair, spider webs, and even human hair. Every experiment failed. Platinum worked, but it was too expensive. Edison didn't want light only for the rich. He wanted it for everyone. After thousands of experiments and a year of sleepless nights, he finally succeeded with a carbon filament that could glow for hours. In December 1879, Edison lit his laboratory with 25 glowing bulbs. People came from miles away to see this miracle. On New Year's Eve, Menlo Park shone as bright as daylight. The crowd stood speechless. The world had entered a new era, the age of electric light. Soon, Edison built a massive power plant at Pearl Street, Manhattan, funded by the great banker J.P. Morgan. Underground cables spread across the streets, and on September 4th, 1882, Lower Manhattan lit up for the first time in history. The night turned to day. People looked up and said, "Edison has captured the sun." But behind the light, darkness was gathering. Edison's system used direct current, DC power, which could only travel short distances. To light every city, he would need power stations every mile, a costly dream. Then, from within his own company, rose a man who would challenge everything Edison had built. A brilliant young inventor from Croatia named Nikola Tesla. Tesla was different, quiet, visionary, and obsessed with invisible forces. He had once worked under Edison, improving his generators. Edison had promised him a $50,000 reward if he succeeded. Tesla worked tirelessly and fixed the machines. But when he went to claim his bonus, Edison laughed and said, "Oh, Tesla, you don't understand American humor." Heartbroken and betrayed, Tesla walked away. He had no idea that his departure would start one of the greatest rivalries in history. Tesla joined hands with George Westinghouse, one of Edison's business rivals. Together they developed alternating current, AC power, a revolutionary system that could transmit electricity over vast distances efficiently and cheaply. Edison refused to accept it. Instead of competing with innovation, he fought with fear. He launched a campaign claiming AC power was deadly. He electrocuted animals in public demonstrations and told people that Tesla's current could kill them. He even supported the creation of the electric chair to prove AC's danger. It was a dirty war, later known as the War of Currents. But truth has its own power. Tesla's AC system proved superior and eventually won. His technology powered entire cities, while Edison's DC became outdated. Edison had lost the current war, but his spirit remained unbroken. Years later, tragedy struck again. His vast factory caught fire. Millions of dollars in research and equipment turned to ash. People expected Edison to collapse in despair, but instead he watched the flames and said calmly to his son, "Go call your mother." She'll never see a fire like this again. The next morning, he started rebuilding. That was Thomas Edison, unshaken, unstoppable. By the end of his life, Edison had over 1,000 patents to his name. The phonograph, the motion picture camera, the electric bulb, the power grid. Each invention shaped the modern world. He taught humanity that success isn't about never failing, it's about never giving up. And Nikola Tesla, his greatest rival, left his own immortal mark. The world runs on Tesla's AC power today. Though they stood on opposite sides, both men together gave light and life to the modern age. One brought the light itself, the other gave it power to travel across the world. They weren't just inventors, they were dreamers. Their rivalry changed the world, but their vision united humanity under one truth. Even in darkness, one spark of curiosity can light the entire world.